Peace to everybody, back with another video. This is Stephen King worries about nightmare scenario where C-19 returns each year more lethal than ever. And of course, I can't say the whole C word because YouTube is censoring people on that word. So that's why I have to abbreviate it. As you can see here in the picture is Stephen King, my favorite author. I love his movies. I got a few of his books that I have by Stephen King, and he is a wonderful author. Stephen King has revealed that he is worried about a nightmare scenario for the C-19 pandemic, in which the virus returns each year, more lethal than ever. Yes, so Stephen King did reveal that he is worried about a nightmare scenario for the C-19 pandemic, in which the virus returns each year. The veteran horror novelist made the comments on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert when he was asked whether the pandemic was playing out the way he would have imagined it. Yeah, so he was on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and he was asked a question whether the pandemic was playing out the way he would have imagined it. So, and Stephen King is a veteran horror novelist, and I love his books. I love his movies that he's done. I wrote a book called The Stand in 1975 or 1976, and I'm still apologizing for it 40 years later, he said. People would come along and say through their little mask, I feel like I'm living in a Stephen King story. Excuse me. My response is, I'm sorry for that. Yeah, so Stephen King wrote a book called The Stand, and trust me, I have that book. It was 1975 or 76, and he said that he's still apologizing for it 40 years later. Why wait that long? He said people will come along and say through their little mask, I feel like I'm living in a Stephen King story. But his response is, I'm sorry for that. Well, the Stand, it is a good movie. Must watch that. I do have the book, and it took me 6 months to read it, literally, because it's a very thick book. He explained that he had developed the idea for the book by consulting a medical expert who gave him a hypothetical pandemic scenario based on the flu. So he had to explain, he had a developed idea for the book, but he was consulting a medical expert who gave him a hypothetical pandemic scenario, and it was based on the flu. So what we're going through now is nothing but a flu. That's all it is. My fear about the C-19 is that we may get things back to normal, and then the virus mutates and comes back, he continued, which leaves two possibilities. So what kind of possibilities could it be? But he says my fear about the C-19 is that we may get things back to normal and then the virus mutates. Well, our bodies has over 380 million viruses in us, in our bodies. So there's no way they could live outside the body at all, because it needs a host. It needs to cling on to something in our bodies. And our immune system has to fight them off every day, because there's no way that the virus would live outside of a body at all. It's impossible for it to do. Now, and he also says, which leaves two possibilities, so we're gonna see what they are. One is that it comes back much weaker and is not much of a problem, but the nightmare scenario which of course is where my mind goes, I'm sorry, but it does, is that it comes back more lethal than ever. So he's thinking of one possibility is that it might come back much weaker. Well, it'd be kind of hard for it to come back much weaker if your body has over 380 million viruses in you. We're already uh, um feeling the viruses and everything. We touch everything that has viruses to boost our immunity system. You could touch your counter, you could touch a table, you could touch anything you need, and your immunity will go up to protect you. That's what the viruses are for in your body. It protects you from other viruses. And so there is no need to worry about going outside. Oh, well, I got to wear a mask. No, you don't have to wear a mask. You've already been exposed to the viruses that is in your body. 380 million of them? Yeah, that's about right. So we're already exposed to all the bacterias and viruses around us. We're already exposed to them. So there's no way that a virus can live outside the body. Promoting his new novel, If It Bleeds, the best-selling writer admitted that the pandemic has been causing him a great bout of stress. So yeah, he's promoting his new novel. It's called If It Bleeds. It's the best-selling writer admitted that the pandemic has been causing him a great about of stress. So I think he's feeling a little stressed about it because of because of the book that he wrote, The Stand. And so he's feeling somewhat guilty, but not really. So there's a lot of books that he wrote. Imagination is a terrible thing sometimes, said King, adding, I can imagine germs as big as wagon wheels on my hands and crawling up my arms. So yeah, he's saying that imagination is a terrible thing sometimes, and it is. I don't blame him for it. Adding, I can imagine germs as big as wagon wheels on my hands and crawling up my arms. So that's what he feels like. But yeah, you don't have to be afraid of any germs or anything because your immunity system will spike up real quick. So like I said, we're already exposed to viruses, so it's no big deal in it at all, really. It is what it is. I say you could touch anything you want and your immunity system will spike real quick because your body has over 380 million viruses in you, and it's okay. There's nothing to be afraid of. So that's how it is. Even outside, you could go outside and you're still exposing yourself outside, like to get the vitamin D from the sun. So that's how it is. And so there's no worry about, oh, well, I'm going to catch it. No, you're not going to catch nothing because your viruses in your body will protect you from other viruses. That's all it does. Leave your comments below. I am out.